Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 5 of the Eastern Team Chess Championship. This is the Norway versus Switzerland, being played in Reykjavik, Iceland. As white, someone that needs no introduction, the chess world, current world champion from Norway, Magnus Carlsen. And as black, Yannick, I believe his name is pronounced Pelletier, from Switzerland. If you remember, Pelletier not too long ago, a few weeks ago, beat a Carl Nakamura, so you know he's capable. Let's get to it. It's going to be in English. Let's go through the opening here. I haven't played the English in a long time. Bishop G2. Bishop. Pretty much all book here. We'll just go through it. Castles. Bishop comes up. This is a move I'm not really keen on. I like D5. I like H6. Just guarding that G5 square. Knight C6. But he goes D6. Interesting. Must be something he prepared. Maybe he just doesn't want the knight hopping into here in the future. Who knows? D4, C takes, knight takes, bishop takes, king takes. Okay, the light squared bishops are off the board. I like the position. I mean, it's okay for black. It's a nice one for white. Has a nice central knight. Not too many center pawns for black or for white though, but queen to C8. E4. Now, according to the computer, that's the last book move. Finally gets a central pawn. Finally. Knight finally comes out. Rook comes over. Anticipation maybe in the future. Not too distant future, I might add. That this file might open up. Knight takes. Queen takes. Queen B7. This gets off the file. Well, the rook comes over. A6. Alright, seems pretty typical. I think Pelletier, I believe his name is pronounced, from Switzerland, is holding his own. He's got a good solid position. All his pieces are developed. A little backed up. That's not so unusual for black in double fianchetto hedgehog English. Easier for me to say. I like the bishop queen battery here. Bishop A3. Rook comes over, protect the d-pawn. Queen to D3, backs the queen up. Interesting though. Computer likes F3 and I do as well. But queen to D3, rook to D2 I think are all viable moves. Magnus goes queen to D3, rook to D7. He's trying to double up on the D file, I think. Now the queen comes over. And this is a very interesting move for black. B5 I think is reasonable. Move one of the rooks. B8, C8. He goes bishop F8. So that was fascinating. Obviously he wants to keep the bishop guarding the d-pawn. We can see that. But I'm not really sure any other reason. Rook to D4. D5. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. Knight takes. King takes. What to do? What to do? White has to take. He takes with a knight. If he takes with a queen, a lot of bad things happen. Knight takes knight, threatening the queen and threatening the rook. So knight has to take. C5. Pawn takes. Knight takes. Queen takes, king takes. He doesn't take the knight though. He plays knight to b6. All right. I think black is holding his own. As we all know, Magnus from this tournament, this is round 5. I believe he's had 2 draws and 2 losses. I don't think he's won yet at this point. So, looks pretty good. Pretty even. Magnus can't be happy. King comes up. Magnus is getting his king on the center of the board, as we all know. And I've said a million times, king's a very powerful piece in the endgame. Worth more than a bishop or a knight. King e7, f4. Active kings are wonderful in the endgame. a5, knight d3. This seems like very dry stuff, but this isn't easy. Knight to d5, and that's a beautiful spot for that knight. No pawn can take it. The only thing that can chase it off is the other knight. Rook to c5. Okay. King comes up, getting brave. Rook c4. Maybe rook c2. But a3, who's going to back off the rook after putting it there? Magnus goes king d4, and I like that move. It allows him to move the knight. The knight can go here. King can't be checked by that knight, and he's threatening this pawn. Also, with a knight here, he's threatening check. f6, just to cover that square. a4. It makes the backward b pawn, though, but I think a3 would have been better. But a4 for Magnus. Knight d7. Rook to b5. Okay. It's still basically even. But these, I'll tell you the truth, Magnus can be a great tactician when he wants to be. But these are the kind of positions he excels at. The dry, almost drawn positions where he just slowly gets tiny advantages. So this is right up Magnus's alley. King to c6. b4. Knight f5. Good spot for that knight. King has to move. Pawn takes. King takes. Knight to d4. Looks dead drawn. What's going to happen here, folks? Rook h5. Magnus can go on a little hunt with his rook there. h6. Comes back with a rook. King b6. Now, I'm not sure if they were trying to get to the time control or not. We're on move 37 now. Rook c4. Mindless complications with a knight on the board. King moves. Rook comes over. Black's starting to untangle a little bit. Pretty even on the computer. I agree, but Black's way better off than he was 3-4 moves ago. Rook e4, hitting the pawn. Rook comes up to defend. Rook e2. Knight comes over, just maneuvering around. Rook checks. Get that rook in the open file. King c6. I think Magnus is thinking about bringing the rook down and coming over and starting to harass these pawns here. Rook b8, here we go. Knight checks. King to b3. King to c7. And this is where I think Magnus, frankly, blunders. And it's a very natural move. Rook to g8. Rook to b5, I think, was his best option. But after rook to g8, can you see the problem for Carlsen now? How does Magnus lose a piece here? Stop the video and see if you can find it. I'll give you a fair warning. And the problem is, knight goes there. Now he's attacking the rook. And Black's attacking his knight. Rook has to take. He loses the knight. King moves. Rook moves back. Rook to f7. He's going to get a pawn out of it. Rook f6. King. Rook takes. What a shame. Yeah, granted he's got 2 pawns for the knight, but he's lost. Rook c7. Let's go through the last moves here. Knight d5. Rook h8. Rook c3 check. King over. Rook. Just maneuvering around. That white pawn isn't really going anywhere. King to c5. h4. Even worse. Rook takes. h5. Rook. h6. Knight f6. He's just going down here. King comes over. Rook d8. And knight to e4. And that's where Magnus says, heck with it. I resign. Tough break there for Magnus. And I'll be perfectly frank, I like Magnus a lot, even though I'm a big Nakamura fan. How could Magnus miss that? Who knows? We're not perfect, even though he is the world champion, the best player in the world currently. So it goes to show we all make mistakes. Anyway, folks, there's my game from round 5 of the European Team Chess Championship. I'm having trouble talking today. 2015. I hope you enjoyed it. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.